Hello everyone, Scott here from BadCuzDad, and welcome back to another breakdown of The Bad Batch. Today we're covering Season 2, Episode 3, The Solitary Clone, and man, what a great episode. Let's get started. In the first scene, we open up to a landscape on the planet of Desix, one of the few remaining separatist independent planets. A lone Imperial shuttle comes flying down to the surface carrying Governor Groton and his new shiny squad of first iteration stormtroopers. This is the first time we've seen stormtroopers show up since the establishment of the Galactic Empire, and this is a subtle symbolic representation of the evolution that's happening. The clones are being phased out, and the new recruits are quickly replacing them. As the citizens of Desix scatter away as the stormtroopers escort Groton to the gates of the stronghold, Groton is met by a masked Tawny Ames, and he demands that by Imperial decree he will now be relieving her of her duties by order of the Galactic Empire. Ames tells Groton that Desix does not fall under Imperial jurisdiction, and Groton replies that her request for independence was denied and Desix will submit to the Empire. Ames does not back down and summons her reprogrammed squad of battle droids to ambush them and take them captive. In the next scene, we meet up with Crosshair. He awakens at an Imperial trooper facility on Coruscant where he is stationed with Vice Admiral Rampart, the same man who executed Captain Wilco in the episode prior. Rampart summons Crosshair to his quarters, pejoratively addressing him by his clone ID, CT-9904. To further flex his superiority, Rampart purposely asked Crosshair how long he spent stranded on the ruins of what was left of Camino. Crosshair replies 32 rotations, or 32 days, and Rampart smugly mocks him that he remains loyal even after being left there. The tension between these two characters is palpable, and I think there's a slow burn just waiting to ignite in the future. Rampart then tells Crosshair that he has a mission for him and briefs him on what is happening on Desix. However, instead of a squad he could command, he wants him to go as a disguised diplomat. Begrudgingly, Crosshair accepts, and he is dismissed. Fortunately for him, we see that he won't be as isolated in this mission as he thinks. An old face and revered Clone Wars veteran shows up before deploying, none other than Commander Cody, Obi-Wan's personal friend, who also ordered Kenobi to be fired upon in Revenge of the Sith. Cody informs him that he is leading the mission to Desix, and they begin to have a bit of a heart-to-heart. This is something we often don't get to see in these shows, and didn't in the previous media as well. The clones are typically very mission-oriented, by the books, and generally hyper-focused on the task at hand. But given the last two episodes, and now this one, we're starting to see an emerging phenomena of clones self-reflecting on their actions in this war, and the gravity of their decisions. This is echoed, no pun intended, at the end of the episode as well. As we see them amid the backdrop of Aurebesh riding, the scene takes a darker tone as Cody tells Crosshair that many clones are starting to question Order 66 and their task of neutralizing Clone Force 99 as well. Crosshair, in true loyalist form, says that these clones are traitors, just like the Jedi. While Clone Force 99 is at the front of resisting Order 66, Crosshair mentions that even regs, in some instances, have gone AWOL after the Order. Once again carrying the theme that there is almost a small awakening occurring throughout the clone ranks. Back on Desix, Ames is talking to Groton, and she tells him that she knows the diplomatic envoy being sent is anything but that. She is aware of the subterfuge and is already prepared and has sorted her forces throughout the facility. To expand more depth to the story, Ames tells Groton that Dooku was right about the Republic, that he knew that the Republic was corrupt, and that it would become something more. Something unlike the galaxy had seen up until this point. I like this because Dooku was always an interesting character, especially for us who really like diving into the psychology of the characters in this universe. Dooku was always a gray Jedi/Sith, as he didn't quite commit to either side, because he could see the flaws in both. Like Qui-Gon, Dooku always questioned the powers that be, and I believe that later in life Dooku only used what would eventually benefit him. He saw the Republic and Palpatine as two sides of the same coin, essentially, but sided with Palpatine because he knew that inevitably the Jedi were doomed to fall. This is truly the interesting part of Dooku, and really the incarnation of the Empire as an entity. It seems that everyone, even Dooku, underestimated Palpatine and his plans for the Empire. Dooku saw the writing on the wall, but was in some form of denial, and it wasn't until it was too late that he finally realized the magnitude of Palpatine's evil. I think the moment when Dooku looks at Palpatine before Anakin executes him is an expression that shows us everything we need to know. As the shuttle carrying Crosshair, Cody, and company descends down into the atmosphere, we get to see another tactical droid we were accustomed to seeing in the Clone Wars, doing what it does best in calling real-time audibles. Equipped with rocket launchers and a separatist tank, the droids fire upon the ship and send it hurtling to the ground. As the droids make their way to the ruins of the ship, Crosshair and Cody ambush them and start making their way to the stronghold. As Crosshair provides cover fire as the squad moves, we see his sniper skills in action as he takes down several droids and ultimately implodes a tank by shooting it precisely in the barrel. The clones fight their way through the stronghold, being met by heavy resistance as faint clanking sounds of droidicas fill the air. With their personal shields making them incredibly difficult to defeat, the clones make use of their explosives, as well-placed grenades can neutralize the droidicas from the inside. As the clones continue to get picked off slowly, Cody and Crosshair make it to a spiral staircase leading up to Ames. Once again, they are ambushed, but this time by the calculating and quick assassin droids. While the droids put up heavy resistance, Crosshair gets clever by throwing reflective mirror pucks up the stairway and ricocheting blaster bolts off them into the assassin droids. One descends onto Crosshair and grabs him by the neck, while Cody pulls out a vibro knife and melees one down, and then proceeds to save Crosshair by throwing his knife into the droid's cranium. This scene was awesome, action-packed, and quite creative. It symbolizes, in more ways than one, why the clones are overall more effective. While the droids are, for all intents and purposes, more formidable than clones, it is the clones' ability to think and reflect and adapt that make them superior and also different. When they arrive at the top, Ames has Groton at the end of her barrel and is met by Cody and Crosshair. Cody tries to reason with her and tell her she can't win and that it is in her best interest to negotiate and surrender. Cody says that the Empire only seeks to establish peace and order throughout the galaxy. Ames says she used to believe there was an opportunity for that at one point, but her and Nina Bonteri, former politician and friend of Ahsoka from the Clone Wars, once tried to make a deal with the Separatists and the Republic, but Palpatine shot that down in the Senate. She realized then that Palpatine's only desire was to have full rule over the galaxy by any means necessary. Cody puts down his weapon and gives her the opportunity to step down and resolve this peacefully. She obliges, but Groton orders her execution once safe. Cody resists and finds himself in a place of disobeying a direct order, again, similar to Captain Wilco in the episode prior. Before he can make a decision, Crosshair takes the shot and coldly kills her with no remorse. Cody stands there bewildered, saddened, and you can really see him having an epiphany of sorts, trying to come to terms with what he actually stands for now. As Cody and Crosshair make their way back to the transport, we see the troopers pouring in and establishing the stronghold as a new base for the Empire. In a beautiful metaphorical expression, we see Cody and Crosshair leaving as new stormtroopers land behind Groton, illustrating the beginning of the Galactic Empire as we know it, out with the old and in with the new, both literally and figuratively. Back on Coruscant, Crosshair and Cody have another talk in front of the Aurebesh monuments. Cody asks Crosshair if they're making the galaxy better. It is clear that Cody is in deep contemplation about where he stands in this fight now. Crosshair tells him coldly that they're soldiers and they do what needs to be done. But Cody replies that what makes them different from battle droids is that they make their own decisions and choices, and ultimately, they have to live with those choices. He's implying that he's having his own struggles while trying to get Crosshair to realize that he too has to do the same, no matter how much he tries not to. We see Crosshair awake once again in his quarters with a look of mild trepidation, as if Cody's words partially resonated with him. He's summoned again to Rampart's office and is told he has another mission. He tells him that Cody has now gone AWOL, and that it's funny that these clones around him keep disappearing. Visibly rattled by that line, Crosshair exits Rampart's office and walks down the hall, leaving us to question what may be now running through his mind. Roll credits. Overall, I love this episode. Even though it did not have the main crew in our focus, the story building was simply masterful. I absolutely love the slow build of the clones starting to reflect on their choices going forward, and I think, like Andor, the story we're seeing here is doing a phenomenal job showing the transition of the Republic to the Empire, and how over time the Empire is growing more oppressive and more powerful. We are seeing all sorts of characters really trying to find their place in this new regime, and I love the dark tone the series is taking. The fact that these characters are experiencing so much character development and growth within 3 episodes is amazing, and I'm incredibly excited to see where the story goes moving forward. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Be sure to check out our most recent podcasts on the channel, and please visit Tom and I on our main channel, BadCuzDad. Links are in the description. Be sure to drop a subscribe and like, and we'll see you the next time. This is the way.